Phantom Blood, Stardust Crusaders, Golden Wind, Jojolion. Each of these parts have many strengths and weaknesses that differentiate them from each other, whether it may be their action sequences, mystery, or world building. Each of these parts are sorta isolated from each other in terms of storytelling. Sure, we'll sometimes see crossovers between characters, but their overall stories are unique. One of the ways Araki showcases this is by putting parts 7 and 8 in completely different universes, which not only led to even more storytelling potential, but forged a path forward through completely new elements. So let's take a look at these elements to see how similar and different they are from the original universe. The first and most obvious difference between both universes is the way to obtain a stand. Within the original universe, stands are mainly achieved with the use of a stand arrow, a weapon with interstellar origins. Getting hit by a stand arrow grants you a stand, but only if you're worthy of getting one. If not, you simply just die. Cutting yourself also counts, however, just like what happened to Jolene. As showcased with Weather Report and Josuke, anyone within your family tree will also gain a stand as a result, if someone else within the family is hit by a stand arrow. The Steel Ball Run universe takes a different approach to gaining a stand. Stands are mainly a result of the Saint's corpse. Absorbing any part of the corpse will grant you a stand as a result, and those parts falling out of you will cause the stand to be lost. The energies of the corpse are also imbued into a moving piece of landmass called the Devil's Palm, and anyone who survives its hellish conditions will receive a stand as a reward. Stands within both universes are also powered up in different ways. For the original universe, it's the Requiem arrows, and for the Steel Ball Run, it's assembling the full Saint's corpse. Stand arrows within the OG universe have a sort of extraterrestrial origin to them, as they originally came from a meteorite that hit Earth years ago. In contrast, the Saint's corpse has a religious or more spiritual vibe to them, as they likely originated from the body of Jesus Christ himself, the GOAT. There are other ways stands are uniquely achieved in both universes, such as the wall eyes and Pushi's discs. However, the stands themselves are completely identical in function in both worlds. Another clear distinction between both universes is the characters themselves. They share the same names, and in a lot of cases the stands are their alternate counterparts, but their personalities and backstories are sometimes a lot different. Diego Brando, for example, is meant to be an alternate universe version of Dio. Despite being in different worlds, they share common traits. Both lived in poverty, hating their fathers and loving their mothers. However, Diego's father wasn't present in Diego's life at all, actually wanting to kill him when he was a child, while Diego's father was more or less putting his hopes and dreams onto Dio before his death. Both Dios grew up with very little opportunities, with Diego being an abused servant of a farm, while Dio simply lived on the streets. They aspired to be greater and eventually left for greater opportunities in two different ways, one becoming a horse racer, while the other is taken in by the Joestars. An element that sticks with both versions is their sheer arrogance, believing themselves to be somehow better than everyone around them, but with the talent to show for it. This extends to their lust for power, as they both chase their own MacGuffins to achieve it. This drive for power eventually grants both of them one of the most powerful stands in the series. Speaking of Dio, let's talk about his mortal enemies, the Joestar bloodline. With Johnny and his counterpart Jonathan, they couldn't be any more different, and I'm not just talking about their physical appearances. Johnny Joestar has been taking L's ever since he was a young man. Not only was he forced to abandon his pet mouse, but his brother seemingly died because of that same mouse. Johnny becomes a high-class and rich horse racer in honor of his brother, but his arrogance gets to him and he thus loses everything. Jonathan's life was a lot less traumatic, at least early on. Things only went downhill when Dio came into the picture, attempting to turn everything against Jonathan, eventually leading to a decade-long feud between the two. A similar element between both versions is their relationships with certain characters. Both have a rivalry going on with Dio, which is always borders on attempted murder in both universes. Both have a friendship and teacher-student dynamic with Azapelli, and both kinda have daddy issues, although one is more complicated than the other. Jonathan's father was a little more annoyed by his antics in Phantom Blood, while Johnny's was, well, it's complicated to say the least. Joseph Joestar also exists in both universes, but the one in Jojolion is far less of a goofball than his battle tendency counterpart. In terms of family, they're both the grandchildren of Jonathan. However, Joseph in Jojolion is part Japanese, compared to his all-white counterpart. One element that exists between both of them, however, is their stand Hermit Purple. They both have the same function, but Jojolion possesses an actual stand body, potentially hinting at a deeper understanding of the stand. Yoshikage Kira exists in the Steel Ball Run universe as well, but his involvement is somewhat strange. He has nothing in common with the one we all know, besides their stands, so the hand fetish thing is nowhere to be found. Kira is the son of Holly Joestar in this world, which technically means that they're the Jotaro Kujo of this world as well. Killer Queen's ability is slightly changed. The original could turn anything to a bomb by touching them, while Jojolion's iteration can shoot out mini sheer heart attacks of various sizes that explode once they reach their targets. Josuke is an interesting case because they have nothing to do with the Josuke from part 4. It's pretty safe to say they have no equivalent. Unfortunately, Josuke's garbage haircut seems to have made its way into this world. Holly also has a daughter in Jojolion, a character who doesn't exist in the original universe. When it comes to other alternate characters, Speedwagon likely exists in the Steel Ball Run universe because of the Speedwagon Foundation's existence, although his relationship with the Joestars seems to be non-existent. Another ally to the Joestars is the Zeppeli family. Steel Ball Run portrays them as an ancient family of executioners who use the spin to make their jobs easier. Gyro Zeppeli was next in line to take over the family business. The Zeppelis in the original universe don't come from a prestigious background. They were simply a family whose lives changed after William Zeppeli learned about Hamon and its many uses. Speaking of Zeppeli, let's take a look at their mastery over the forces of Hamon and the spin. Both are ancient techniques used for a variety of different purposes. Hamon is a sort of life energy that mimics the characteristics of sunlight. It's used for healing purposes, but it's also highly effective against the undead or supernatural. Being a kind of life energy allows it to shorten aging and changes the attributes of objects. The spin is a medical technique used for execution purposes, and it basically uses the concept of rotation for its goal. The spin's rotation can be fused into almost anything, which results in different things. The rotation is useful beyond its intended purposes, as Gyro has used it in more creative and competitive ways within racing and combat. It's clear that both Hamon and Spin are direct parallels of each other in both universes. They both originally manifested as medical techniques that later evolved to do much more than that, possessing many attributes used for combat and other tasks. The Zeppeli family seems to be the main source of innovation for both systems. These accomplishments from humans are impressive, but there exist non-human factions who threaten their existence. The Pillarmen are an ancient race of beings with enhanced senses and physical abilities compared to humans. They have massively high healing factors, body manipulation, and possess supernatural abilities greater than what even German engineering can accomplish. The Pillarmen are directly responsible for creating vampires and zombies. Vampires are pretty much diet Pillarmen. They contain enhanced senses and strength, but they have other abilities like laser eyes, healing factors, and mind control. They need to consume blood in order to use their abilities. Zombies are a product of both the Pillarmen and vampires, but are pretty much mindless, just like typical zombies. One thing that all these factions have in common is their weakness to sunlight, which kills them almost instantly. The Steel Ball Run universe doesn't have Pillarmen and vampires, they instead have rock humans. Rock humans are a group of silicon-based life forms that resemble humans in every way. Unlike humans, rock humans don't have any sort of love or empathy for each other, even throwing their babies into the wild to survive. Rock humans can survive hard conditions like extreme hot and cold by transforming into large rocks. Their sleep cycles and rate of growth are different than humans, as they sleep every couple months and molt in order to grow. One thing we can notice about both groups are their motivations. The Pillarmen and vampires are more concerned with proving that they're the ultimate and superior life forms on the planet, while the rock humans care more about the monetary gain and status the Rokakaka can bring them. Speaking of which, both universes have their own unique items that shape their worlds. The original universe had the stone masks and the red stone. The stone mask was created by the Pillarmen, and it was meant to ascend them to a higher existence. The red stone of Aja is a perfect gemstone that absorbs and refracts light millions of times. Once the red stone was paired with the stone masks, this would turn the Pillarmen into a higher life form. However, if a human wears the stone masks, it would turn that human into a vampire with all their abilities. The Rokakaka is a fruit only present within the Steel Ball Run universe, and its function is equivalent exchange. Once you eat it, you can restore anything you've lost, whether it be a sense or a body part. They'll be replaced by a rock-like version. However, the Rokakaka will then take something equivalent away, such as your teeth. The new Rokakaka is an upgraded version of the fruit, and instead of replacing your lost body parts with a stone version, it instead takes the related parts from someone else and gives it to the person who ate it. There exists a plethora of other universes in the Jojo multiverse, each having radically different tellings of these iconic characters. Whether you prefer the original universe or the new universe, we can all agree that each part has their own strengths and weaknesses that makes each of them special in their own way.
アリーベ・デルチ